Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Brothers channel. Cedric here in Antwerp with yet another brew review. And as the weather turns colder, my mood swings towards warmer beers. We've had a lot of IPAs and Weizens in the past few weeks, but it is about time for a nice warm and warming beer. So I dove into my cellar as this dust bears witness, and I chose a Cuvée du Château by Kasteelbier van Honsebrouck. This is a rather special beer in this sense that the family van Honsebrouck, first of all, this is Xavier van Honsebrouck's favorite, and they market this as being a dark Kasteelbier aged for about 10 years. It's not, but that is how they describe it. I must say that I think that I haven't had this before. I'm not quite sure. I visited the brewery, but I know that we tried a lot of beers, and mainly the Trignac was one of my huge favorites, and I have no idea if I tasted this one or not. So, only one way to find out. First off, the packaging. I like this label. It is a more prestigious, fancy version of the Kasteelbier label. They do have a drawing of the old brewery on there. Of course, they have moved a few years back. Now it's a huge beer castle. Also, a nice special branded bottle cap. So not just a Kasteelbier bottle cap, but they have their own Cuvée du Château bottle caps, which is a nice touch. And about the beer itself, this is an 11%er, so a whopping, I would call this a quad. I think many of you will follow me in calling this a quad. And if I read the label, I don't know quite what to think, because this says, does it have English on there? Yeah. Top fermented beer, ingredients, water, barley malt, sugar, hop and aroma. And I'm always a bit scared when they put aroma on their label, because that could be like added aroma, but that could also very well be aroma hops or let's say roasted malts. That's also aroma. Herbs, that's also aroma. So I don't like this dubious way of putting things, but here we are. So let's find out if we like this. Now, I'm gonna clear a bit of this dust because I don't want the dust in the glass. And here we go. Now, full disclosure, this is about 8 months past its due date. I aged this in the cellar myself. But actually, legally, we are not obliged to put a best before date on all beverages or products that go over 10% ABV. And secondly, an 11% dark that they market as 10 years aged, or the equivalent of 10 years aged. Ooh, and that wasn't intentional. I thought I could keep the yeast out, but apparently talking and pouring at the same time is not my strong suit. Nonetheless, ooh, that is very dark. It is absolutely not translucent whatsoever. Very dark brown, murky, but that is my own doing. Although, yeah, it would be hazy either way. Not a lot of foam. I expected a bit more foam, but it is nice looking foam. Tiny bubbles, dark beigeish, so quite nice. Ooh, this is I'm gonna need another whiff. This is so complex. This is, all kinds of things are going on. First off, a hint of chocolate, like quite vinous, like red wine or port, maybe. Also raisins, dried fruits, like dried apricots, like not dates or so, but like raisins, dried apricots. Actually a very, very pleasant scent. Let's taste. Cheers. Yeah. Honestly, after I read that this resembles a 10 years aged Kasteelbier dark, I was skeptic, but at the same time I thought, I'd like to try that, because historically I am a big fan of Kasteelbier dark. Unfortunately, since the rise of Kasteel Rouge, sales, I don't want to say plummeted, but I don't find it very often anymore. But this actually does make me think of the original Kasteelbier, so this might be even more complex than the scent. The aroma was very, even slightly overwhelming, but the flavor is, like with every drop that rolls over your tongue, you get a completely new sensation. That is, wow. Let's start at the beginning. First taste is again very vinous, very ever so slightly acidic, or not necessarily acidic, but slightly sour. But yeah, nice. In the flavor, there is also a large amount of that dried fruit. Again, dried apricots mainly. A bit of cranberry even, or red berries nonetheless. Raisins again, very warming, very winterish. And despite being, despite looking rather flat, it is quite carbonated. It is very pleasant. There's nice tingling. So the combination of that vinous component, that slightly acidic idea, and that effervescence, that is, yeah, a very pleasant combination. Makes me think of like a sparkly dry red wine, or like a cava brut, but fruity. Very nice. And it does have a very full mouthfeel. It is quite creamy, but still it is thinner than I expected. And by that I mean it is less sugary, less sticky than I expected. This is actually quite thin, quite dry, quite, yeah, well done, Kasteelbier. And despite being quite dry, being quite well fermented, I do have this idea of sweetness, and it's not sweet, not at all actually, but it's a bit roasty and a bit chocolatey. It's like they used quite a bit of roasted malts, and that chocolatey idea actually plants the idea of being sweet in our brain, which is just a huge mindfuck. However, it is very, very nice. The aftertaste is also quite warm, quite full, and even though the beer itself isn't as boozy as one would expect, for an 11%er, the aftertaste really makes up for that. Like the beer comes in all active and all enthusiastic, and then the aftertaste is like, remember this is 11. So nice. This also reminds me of the Gouden Carolus, the original, the dark one, or maybe even the Imperial Dark. Although I'll probably like that one even better. But this is very, very nice. How would I score this? I think this is an easy 375. And depending on the day, it could even be a 4. But for today, it's 375. Okay, that all being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment down below if you have any questions or remarks. If you want to support this channel, leave a comment, share a video, or visit the Patreon page. And if you want to see more, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever I upload something. And I will see you guys again in the next video. Cheers!